Hello again, everyone. It's Tom here. I'm just coming in with the editing side of things, and I just wanted to give you an update on some things that happened here. So just at the beginning of our interview, there's about 15 seconds of poor audio quality. That gets better. And then throughout, we are on location, so there's a bit of bumping of the microphones, a bit of microphone static here and there. So I apologize for that. And it's a great chat with Antony, though, so it's well worth the listen, well worth the watch. And thank you so much. Continuing on. Welcome to another episode of the Distil-Nation NZ podcast. My name's Tom, and I'm joined by my friend.
I'm Cameron, and I am thrilled to be back here. And if you've seen our previous episodes, you're going to know exactly where we are.
But if you're listening, you won't have any idea.
No, equally, that is true.
We're at the Spirits Workshop in Christchurch, makers of Divergence Whisky, and Antony, the head distiller, was keen to get us back.
He's back. He said there's a top secret project that he's been working on, and he wants us to try the progress report and introduce him to you.
Antony, thanks for having us back at the distillery.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, thanks. We are excited because you've got some fun releases coming out, some whiskey releases.
Yeah. Well, we have this whiskey society that is our club of people who like Divergence, and a little while ago, a couple of years ago, we asked them what they would like us to make for them as a special barrel, and we put out some polls, and what came back was they wanted a medium peated single malt made or aged in a charred ex-Pinot barrel. So we thought, well, that's cool. We've never made peated whiskey before. Let's give that a go. So we got some...
Famously, somewhat... this was a conversation that I had with you well before this, completely unrelated to this. And I'd said, have you ever considered making a peated whiskey? And you said, look, I make whiskey that I like, and I'm not the biggest fan of peat. Fair enough. So this is kind of...
So this is something new and quite different for us. We haven't made peated mashes before, and so it was all something, fun to learn, fun to learn new things and to try new things, and maybe I'll like my own peated whiskey. You never know your luck. So, and actually we've decided that. Peat is quite popular, and so we've decided that we'll make a peated mash once a year. So since then we've done one more peated mash a year later. So we're going to make it sort of an annual single peated mash. So far is our idea.
That's cool. The Divergence Week of Peat. There might be something to that.
Yeah.
I don't know if any other distilleries are doing that. But. Yeah. So I guess for you to have done another one, the first time you worked with peat must have gone okay.
Yeah, well, I have to say this is not the first time I've tasted the whiskey that's been in the barrel. We have tasted a couple of other times, and we were quite reasonably, well, I won't say impressed, but reasonably happy with the way it was turning out and the flavour profile that was developing in there. So we thought, well, why not? We'll give it a crack and see if it makes sense to do it on a regular basis. I mean, we're still not doing it every day. We're still doing unpeated mashes most of the time, but we've done one more since. And at the same time when we did the peated, we decided, well, since we're hitting the smoke, we might as well do a Manuka smoke as well. So we also have one mash of Manuka smoke down in barrels as well, just to see how that's going to turn out. So that's more experimental and more fun, I suppose. Yeah. So we haven't really decided whether it's something worth doing once a year as well or not yet. But maybe you can help us, because we've got a sample of that as well here for you to try.
Awesome. I mean, I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely thrilled, because this was quite exciting to be, as part of the society and seeing the polls and choosing what people were doing. But actually, this is part of the reason that we're having this conversation, is to bring the society back in on this, to say maybe not quite ready yet, but see how things are going.
Yeah, well, it's 18 months in the barrel now. and so that's, I guess, halfway to becoming real whiskey. So we thought, well, halfway is a good opportunity to have another taste of it, and to maybe get it out to the Whisky Society members so they can have a check themselves on how it's coming along and what they think, and maybe we can get some feedback, and maybe they can think about how it's going to be when it's finally of age. So we've got we're going to release what we're going to call the Whisky Society progress report. We're going to make it available only to Whisky Society members. So if you want to have a taste, you have to join the society, and it'll be available it's in either a 50ml sample or a 200ml sample. $15 for the 50ml and $40 for 200ml. Get that at home and give it a try. And
Mash bill? Did we talk about the mash bill? Do we know?
It was a medium peated on the ppms, and that we didn't know anything about peat, so we just looked it up on the internet. What's medium peated mean? It's this many ppms, so which ended up being about 50% of the Gladfield South Island peat malt, and about 50% barley, malted barley. So it's 100% malted barley, about 50% of the Gladfield South Island peat.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Have you noticed a difference in the production? Like, does the peat react differently at the very, very early stages?
Well, I guess we haven't done it enough to really be able to tell you definitively, but I think the yields we got were pretty much in line with what we had from a normal unpeated mash. It wasn't out of the ordinary high or low. It was pretty much in line with what we normally get. So I would say it hasn't made a difference as far as production goes.
No, I just think that is fascinating. All right, so we've got the Pinot Barrel, which is the Society one. Yep. We've got the Manuka Smoke, and we've got Peated X Bourbon. Where should we start with this?
I guess maybe we start with the Peated X Bourbon, because that's going to give you, this is what the peated, as standard as possible, this is what our peated wash gave us.
Good old bourbon barrel setting the standard for everything.
Simple standard bourbon barrel.
And you've got this down to 46.
Yep, so I've already diluted them for us, so we're not trying to suck on cask strength stuff and ruin our taste buds. And I did want you guys to write my tasting notes for me, by the way, because I've just coming out of a cold, and my taste buds might not be quite so good. So I thought, well, I know someone who can write great tasting notes.
Cameron's the king of this.
Cameron to do it.
Yeah,
we can give it a crack.
It's distinctly that New Zealand peat, right? Yeah, I definitely get that right away, which is awesome. It's gentle and fruity. Like I'm coming across something like orange, especially orange, like a bright orange in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah. And there's nothing to tell me that this would be only 18 months. This smells older than that for sure. It's coming along really nice there.
Yeah, the peat. One thing I did notice about the peat new make is that that flavour does tend to sort of, an aroma does tend to sort of mask the new makiness of new make. That traditional new makey taste and smell. It does get masked quite a lot by the peat. Gives it more of a sweet earthiness rather than that sort of sharp, almost sourness that you get in new make.
Yes, and I think those are great words that you've used there as well, that if somebody is drinking their Isla peat, their coastal peat, and this is not that at all, it's a lovely dry earthiness, and while there's no mistaking that it is peated, equally it's not violently attacking your senses to say, oh boy, this is smoky. That is quite inviting.
It is, like you say, a medium sort of smoke. Yeah. You definitely get it on the palate, and Just trying to see what else I get there. It's really nice to drink, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
You get a little bit of, say, sort of, I'm thinking nectarine, stone fruitiness on the palate. Or is that just my cold talking?
Well, you might have influenced me, but yeah, I get that. There's definitely a fruit, like, it's maybe peachy, like to me. Yeah, peachy kind of flavor.
But that bourbon influence is wonderful because whatever kind of fruit flavour you're getting, there's this lovely kind of creamy vanillins that's mixed all through that.
Yeah, definitely.
And then right now, just getting that oxygen on my tongue, and there's still that char there, that reminder that it is indeed a peated, it's a smoky whiskey, and it's just really adding a length to that finish. It is quite nice.
It just keeps going, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I just taste that lingering, gentle smoke. It's everything you want it to be, isn't it? I love peated whiskey. So this is right up my alley. I'll be getting some of this.
Excellent to hear. Yeah, the bourbon barrel just doesn't get in the way of anything, does it? It just just gives you what it is, really. Yeah. And a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of oak.
Still that distinct divergence ness to it, if you will. There's a distinct note across your whiskies with the barley. I think it's the barley, yeah. And it's still there, definitely.
I had to remind myself last night by having some of the number 5.
Okay.
And straight away, as soon as I poured that number 5, I'm like, yes, this is Divergence. Yes, this is, it does have that character. And yeah, certainly, I think if you go looking for it, you can find it in here as well.
Yeah. I get it quite easily.
Well, that's good to know.
So is this one coming out as well, or is
no? Well, this one we did for ourselves. So we can make that available to the Whisky Society members as well, if they would like to try the bourbon as well as the Pinot barrel.
Right. Laid down at the same.
Because they were laid down exactly the same time. It was exactly the same mash and wash, the same distillation. We just had, we got the volume that we got, we split between the two barrels.
Yeah.
Or maybe if we have a revelationary experience trying these two side by side, then maybe we recommend that to be.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see the other one. Why don't we dive in and compare them?
So this is are we allowed to talk about where the barrel came from?
Yeah, absolutely. We're very keen to say that our barrels come from our Pinot barrels come from the Maud Winery in Wanaka. They make beautiful Pinot, and so far, although we haven't released any whiskies out of their barrels, they've really been delivering some beautiful flavours into the samples that we've been trying. So
whoa.
That was a big reaction.
Oh, it's different.
It's so different.
It's so different.
Insanely different.
Because did the bourbon one have a char?
Yeah, it's a X number 3 or 4 charred bourbon barrel.
Versus what?
Versus this is a Pinot barrel that we've charred. So we charred ourselves. So we've charred it to about a 4.
Holy smokes!
No pun intended.
Maybe a little one, but that is genuinely big red stone fruit up front.
Yeah.
And it's like if you'd taken an acetylene torch, if you'd taken one of those to a bowl of
grapes.
I'm
thinking like a big bowl of red grapes. That's what I'm thinking.
Plum.
And the smoke is just like carrying it all up in there. So it's intermingling. That's really cool.
May well have been the same liquid, but these are incredibly different. And I could see some people loving the ex-bourbon and hating this, or falling in love with this and taking or leaving the ex-bourbon. I can.
You know what it is? It's a breath of fresh air. I can, like, on a cold morning, and you breathe in the cold air, and it's clean air out in the mountains. This is that.
Mountains?
I'm in the mountains.
What mountains are you going hiking in where there's that much stone fruit?
I'm from Niagara, remember? Niagara's the stone fruit capital of Canada.
Oh, okay, there we go.
There's no mountains, though. Whoa.
I'm quite interested to see what you think on the palate, because the finish is something quite interesting for a peated whiskey. You know, you say it's the South Island peat is not like that saline-y peat that you get in the island whiskies, but this one is delivering like this real seaside finish.
There is a saltiness to it, eh? Yeah. And there's a certain, like, definitely red fruit, you know, like it's like sticking your nose in a Pinot Noir barrel. If you haven't ever done that, it's, you know, it's that bright red fermented fruit. And the smoke, of course, is there, but it's sort of, I feel like the smoke and the fruit have sort of just attached to each other, like, and they're not separate entities; they're one entity.
It integrated quite nicely, even over just 18 months in the barrel.
Yeah.
But that is the weird thing, is that ex-bourbon one, I guess, if you're thinking along the lines of an Ardmore, where it's a very kind of dry and earthy kind of one, and I would not describe this as dry and earthy at all.
No.
And that is, consider if it's the same liquid that's run off the still.
Exactly the same.
I would not have.
It's incredible, yeah.
No, I'd almost call you out on that and say, nah, no, you didn't.
And it always amazes me how much fruit you still get in the barrel after you've charred over the top of the wine. You know, I mean, it's a heavy char, but it's still delivering piles of fruit.
And I haven't had a sip now in a couple of minutes, and it's still lingering. Yeah, still just sitting there with the red fruit smoke. There we go. That is super unique. I don't think I've ever had anything like that. I don't know.
That is a long time since I've had it, but Talisker do a Talisker Port Ree, and that's a port barrel that they use, and it's reminding me of that more so because it's that coastal saltiness with that bit of cracked pepper that you know is Talisker, but coming in with that fruit, and that I'm not trying to compare the two at all, but yeah, this I would not. Yeah, I get that coastal island element. Sea salt on the, and yeah, I'm
Which
still
is so
thinking
random,
plum.
but yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Black boy peaches maybe.
Yeah, peach. I definitely get some peach in there. Yeah.
Yeah, Black Doris plum and Black boy peaches. It's really dark stone fruit, and it is.
I mean, I get a bit of
wild,
bright stone fruit, you know.
Okay,
but
taking notes.
Well, you are writing my tasting notes for me after all.
Oh yeah,
I love them both, but for very different reasons. And to try and draw a parallel between the two, would be doing them both a disservice.
Yeah, to me, I would not know they were the same whiskey at all.
No,
and they're vastly different, but both great in their own way. Yeah.
Depending on what you are looking for, they are both offering something.
I can't stop smelling this one. I really love the smell on this one.
I think maybe that is the. Oh yeah, and then coming back to the ex-bourbon, and all of a sudden that vanilla,
big creamy vanilla
stands out, and it is. I was going to say buttery, but it's buttery, creamy vanilla, and that stands out all the more. Oh man, I would not very fun to listen to or to watch, but I would happily sit there, and maybe this is what I'll have to do, sit there with the two and just go back and forth and just...
I think that's exactly what you have to do.
This is exciting.
Yeah, that vanilla does, it really jumps out at you once you've had the Pinot one, and then you go back to the bourbon one, the vanilla just goes, hello!
You're not going to find me in that other one. No, you're not.
So that could be a fun thing for people to compare side by side.
Yes, just because if running off the still at the same time, put into barrel at the same time, if you were asking me if they were related or not, I'd have serious doubts. But here we are in the distillery being told by the man himself. Yep. I mean, look, anytime anybody says, hey, do you want to come and try some new whiskey? Of course I'm excited. But just to try these ones now and to see what is happening, this really is... I might have to put one of these down maybe to another unpeated Divergence to see if I can find more of a thread, but that will be another project for another day.
I think you could find it in that one for sure.
Yeah. But I think that the Pinot Barrel is really going to throw you off.
Well, the Pinot Barrel has that depth of flavour that I think is that we really like to try and drive into our whiskies, is richness of flavour. And you get that in all our whiskies, but it doesn't quite have that sort of spicy malt. Or it's covered up the spicy malt a bit more than the bourbon, which the bourbon barrel you can still maybe get a little of that spicy malt coming through.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah.
Now the problem with barrel maturation is that progress is not linear. It's not automatically that something's going to get to a certain age and instantly be better. I mean, I know this is all one big experiment, but do you have any idea of where it is tracking and kind of what you'd like to happen in between now and proper release?
Oh, well, I guess we're sort of super surprised by the depth of flavour, especially in the Pinot Barrel already after 18 months. So, after 3 years, goodness knows. But I hope that I sort of find that salinity at the end, that sort of almost chlorine pool seaside thing on the finish of the Pinot Barrel one a bit much for me, and I sort of hope that is ameliorated a little bit by a little more time in the barrel. I'd like that to sort of balance up a little more with the fruit, and a little more integration and a little more barrel influence, because at the moment it's wine and whiskey. It's not sort of whiskey and wine, I guess.
Right.
In a way.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
I'm quite excited to see how that one's going to turn out.
But I think that's what will happen. Those Pinot Barrels will deliver the oak influence. It's just a matter of a bit more time. It's a full-size barrel. We haven't matured a lot of whiskey in full-size barrels yet either. So it's all lots of new things for us. It's quite exciting.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Okay, so now we're going to take a bit of a left turn. So I guess maybe just kind of clarifying for people, there is a difference between a peated whiskey and a smoked whiskey. So if you can just kind of quickly explain the difference between when we're talking about these peated ones and the smoked one.
Well, I guess my understanding of how a peated malt is made is the malt is smoked by burning peat, basically. I guess, or Tom might know more than me, the malt is green, it's smoked before it's roasted, and some of that, in the case of peat, that sort of smoky, peaty flavour gets absorbed by the malt, and when it's roasted, it stays in there, maybe caramelizes things a little more, and then when it's mashed and turned into a wash, it's extracted into or dissolved into the liquid, and then when you distill that beer, especially late in the piece of the distillation, those heavier, oily, smoky flavours, or peaty, if you like, flavours come through into your distillation and through into your whisky. So I think the idea was first mooted by Matt Thompson, who had decided that since Manuka was the way we smoke things in New Zealand, not peat, that maybe we should try smoking some malt with Manuka and see what happens. And he's convinced Gladfield to do that for him, and they've made this Manuka smoked malt, and that he's been, I guess, the pioneer of using in whisky. So we thought when we were doing our smoked malts, well, why not give the Manuka one a go as well? So we've made a Manuka smoked wash, similar sort of way, similar sort of mash bill. So it's 50% of the Manuka smoked malt and 50% of the malted barley. And this one, completely different flavour profile to a peat. The Manuka smoke is a lot more like you'd expect smoked food to taste like.
It has a barbecueness to it.
It does, especially when it's first in the wash before it's been distilled. It does remind you of all the lovely Manuka smoked food that you've had in your life because you've lived in New Zealand, and we've all had it, and we've all sat around a barbecue with the Manuka on it, and we've all had that aroma. So it's very reminiscent for us. Tom, I don't know how long you've been here. I don't know how much Manuka smoked food you've had, but I find it.
He thinks that golden syrup is an abomination.
Here we go again.
as opposed to maple syrup.
Yeah.
Maple syrup is the epitome. The top. Every syrup wants to be maple syrup. Just so you know.
I have a special oak aged maple syrup in the kitchen, actually.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I did a couple of those. Yeah. They turned out quite cool. I just wanted to add, for anybody who's confused about the smoke thing, all peated malts are smoked.
Yes.
Not all smoked malts are peated. That's how I like to think of it.
Yeah.
Just like all bourbon is whiskey, not all whiskey is bourbon. Same with, all Scotch is whiskey, not all whiskey is Scotch.
I think, I haven't looked too much around the world, but I think that other than peat smoke, there aren't that many other smoked malts being made around the world.
Manuka really is the sort of...
Manuka in New Zealand, and I have heard of sheep dung smoked malt somewhere up in Scandinavia.
Tasmania as well.
Tasmania as well.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure why you'd want to smoke anything with sheep's dung.
Based on what Tom's given me to try, I don't know why you'd do it either.
I love it.
When you could use a beautiful, sweet wood smoke like Manuka.
Yeah.
And I imagine in the States or Canada, your maple wood smoked food is quite...
It is quite popular.
Not unusual, or mesquite, or...
But people the world over will know about Manuka honey, and that's probably where they first will hear of it. And so it's the wood from that plant that the flowers grow on. Bees in the flowers on the wood in the... Yeah, there we go.
Now, for some reason best known to ourselves, we decided that once we had this Manuka smoked new make, that we would put it into Pedro Jimenez sherry barrels. Second fill though.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't know why. It was... We had them. We just emptied them to make our Iberia double wood, or our sherry wood, one of the two. So they were sitting there. They were just been emptied, so they thought they were needed to be filled back up again. And we had this Manuka new make, so that's what they've been in.
I mean, okay.
Well, that's got to be a first.
Yeah, because I've had the Thompson Manuka smoked before, but as far as I know, they are not using a Pedro.
Ex-Pedro barrels. No, probably not.
That is classic Manuka. But then I was going to say there was something else to it. So I'm glad you said that. Barrel.
Yeah, that is okay. There's a lot going on there.
The smoke's not dominant.
No.
When it first went in, the smoke was strong. Yeah, really strong.
It might come back. It might.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Manuka so often is, and that's if you're using it with fish or to smoke anything, like a little goes a long way. It doesn't take a lot to really make itself known.
And while it's not necessarily, it's maybe not as smoky as the other two we've tried, it's still got distinct Manuka to it.
Yeah.
The Manuka's definitely infused itself nicely. And,
There's more smoke on the palate than there is on the nose. And the finish is a little phenolic.
Yep. There it starts to come. That bit of ashiness. But certainly not unpleasant ashiness. Just a nice sweet. Manuka's got this kind of sweetness to it. Yeah, like almost honey-like. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I kind of want it to be with the Manuka smoked.
Yes.
Whiskey.
And I was kind of, I could tell that there was something else there on the nose, and I'm glad you explained the sherry. It was only when I really tried it that I'm like, oh no, there is, okay, there's some sherry notes in there, bit of that Jimenez spice. Maybe this is the first one where I'm like, okay, I can see where a wee bit of extra time is going to make a whole lot more of a difference.
This one definitely needs...
It's still fighting itself a bit.
Yeah.
Manuka's
that Manuka
good on that,
needs a bit more time to integrate fully into the...
I do get the Divergence spiced malt in here, like I did in the bourbon one.
Yeah, these are smaller barrels as well, so they're 100s and 40s.
Oh, yeah.
But like I said, they're second fill, so they're a lot more stripped out than a...
Yeah, it's not quite your...
I really like that, though. This is really nice.
What is it? Your booze-soaked fruit cake that you get on the Iberian. It's not quite...
No, it's more of a gentle influence on it, eh?
Yes.
Yeah. Which is quite nice,
because putting 50% Manuka smoked in with a first fill Pedro Jimenez, I really think that would probably...
I'm not sure that that woody smokeness of the Manuka would go very well with the fruitiness. This has just sort of got this light... I think they're probably American oak barrels, the sherry barrels, so they're delivering vanilla and just maybe a light raisiny sort of white raisin note for me, and that comes probably from the sherry barrel.
Yeah, adding a bit of water in there has certainly helped. Getting more of that fruitiness, that raisin up front here. Yeah, I mean, I'm intrigued. The other two, straight away, I'm like, all right, I think I'm in love. And this one, I'm like, I can see where you're going.
Oh, I think it's just because,
and I think it's a great idea.
Second fill, it
but
just takes more time.
Yeah, it's just going to need.
But the flavors are all there. It just, it'll come together.
It just needs to balance a wee bit more.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, I think that one... You can probably see why we haven't done another Manuka Smoke mash quite yet. But maybe a couple of years we'll see how this one goes, and maybe we'll have another go.
I did a heavily smoked one in my first year of distilling because I really wanted to do that, and I did 90% peated and 5% Manuka, and then the 5% unsmoked, and it tasted so bad all the way up till about, and it was in a smaller barrel, but about 18 months, and then it really started shifting. I was like, oh wow, and it turned into something really nice suddenly, and it was the Manuka, because I did another one with a corn whiskey with a bit of Manuka in it. Same thing. I did not like it, and I was like, I've messed up, and then I never made any more. I did those 2 batches, and I was like, oh, I'm not making any more of this, and now I regret it because there's nothing with Manuka aging, but it all ended up turning out really great in the end.
Yeah, cool.
So it's a tricky one, but that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But I still like it. This is good at this stage. I'm not getting like the composty stuff I was getting. And this has got a beautiful honey note to it.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And with that, I think the water maybe just helped things settle down a bit more. Like you were saying, I found the the spice. Excuse me. I found the spice, and they've got a bit more of that honey sweetness coming through. That's certainly adding that water did help settle down a wee bit more, but I can still see the benefit of spending a bit more time in the
But that's
barrel.
what progress reports are for, right? So, yeah, that's a good thing. Thank you for letting us try that. That's incredible.
Oh, you're very welcome. I thought, well, if you're coming to taste some smoky things, we do have this other smoky thing. Let's just see what let's see what that is. Let's see what that's like. The weird cousin, exactly. The Kiwi cousin.
So release date for these wines.
So for the progress reports, we'll now.
Now,
I
yeah,
guess,
yeah,
so
yeah.
now.
Perfect.
Now,
March 13th.
March 13 as
Yeah.
of. We'll be sending out the EDMs at the same time as that, and then we'll get hopefully. Well, we'd like to see some orders, and we'd like to share the flavours with you guys.
So to be able to get one, people have to be part of the Divergence Whisky Society.
If you're a member of the Whisky Society, then you get the opportunity to purchase these special things.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
And when the Whisky Society barrel itself is fully realised, then it's going to be totally exclusive to the Whisky Society people. So
Awesome.
So this is your chance to get a first glimpse look of what we have just tried. And if on hearing this and they are still interested but they're not yet a member of the society, how do they do that?
you just go to our webpage, divergencewhisky.nz, go to the bottom, and there's a form down there that you can fill in to join up. And once you join up, you'll get the welcome email and all of the offers that are available at the time.
Well, I think this will be, now, whether or not you have the willpower to kind of try some now and then put it away until the, if you think you can, good power to you. But seeing as this was one that the society decided this is what we are going to do, I think it's a great idea. Again, give power to the people that we get to
Power
come
to
in
the people.
and try this.
Well, and it's quite cool. They've got us to do a peated whiskey, and it's turned out.
And it's kind of stuck now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're doing more of them. So it's changed our business a little, so which is fun. Always fun to try new things.
Especially and I just remember that conversation with you where you seemed quite firm on the idea of no, we've got our core range and we're doing good things, and I don't see the reason that we need to do a peated one. We've got our style. We've worked really hard on this.
I especially like what I like about these sort of things is it's very New Zealand. You know, you've got New Zealand grain, New Zealand peat. You've got the New Zealand Pinot Noir barrel. You know, made in New Zealand, aged here in Christchurch. You know,
That's it. You couldn't get more Kiwi.
You really can't.
And especially decided largely by the people of Christchurch that this is what we want to see and this is what we would like to see done.
Yeah.
Look, if it wasn't great, I wouldn't be saying to go out and try it. But I've genuinely, these two here, they are so different in style.
Yeah.
And if you have been following Divergence up until this point, and you've got some of the French oak, or you've got another Divergence release on your shelf, definitely try and get one of these so that you can then do that comparison between either peated expressions or having a Divergence unpeated and one of these samples here, because I think it's exciting what you're doing, and I think it's a whole lot of fun too.
It is. Well, that's the fun part of distilling, is trying all new things, isn't it? This is why we do it. It's because like this, it's incredible to see the difference that. I'm not going to say small things, I suppose, but because different barrels are big things, but the difference that you can make with just a different barrel.
Charred Pinot Noir.
I was talking to some people last night at a function, and they were asking me, well, once you've chosen the barley and you've decided you're going to distill it, make a whiskey, what else can you do to affect what the flavour is that comes out the other end? And then I went through the whole list of, well, there's the grain's the first thing, but then you've got to mash it, and you've got to decide what yeast you're going to use and how long you're going to ferment it for, and then you distill it, and then you decide how big your cuts are, and then you take that and you decide which barrel you're going to put it into, and then you decide at what percent you're going to put it, what proof you're going to put it into the barrel. Then you've got to decide where you're going to keep it to age, and what the climate's going to be there, and how that's going to change it, and how you're going to try and either stop that or accentuate that. And then after that, you've got to keep tasting it until you decide it's time to put it in a bottle, and then you've got to decide what proof you put it into the bottle at. So there's quite a lot. There's a little bit more than just picking some grain and putting it through a still. There's a lot to it, and all of those things will make a difference to the final whiskey at the end of it. And the fun part is trying a whole bunch of different ones.
Well, I'm glad that we could be here to be part of that.
That's for sure.
So people can be looking forward to this roughly 2025?
Yeah, I guess
That's September
2022. So end of 2025 is when it'll be 3 years old, and I think, to be fair, it's actually reasonably drinkable right now. But it's not yet whiskey, so it'll be.
You put another one down last year as well. That one's still going.
Yeah, we've put one of our own down. So and we've put some more into bourbon barrels as well. So it's become an annual sort of peat time. It's Divergence peat time.
So what's next then? Given that this is all very new and exciting, and it's certainly come. Well, the society wasn't a surprise when we talked last. We knew that this was down. The bourbon one definitely is. What's next? What's next?
There's all sorts of surprises out there in the barrel store. I was wandering around getting these samples this morning, and I'm thinking, I forgot we had that.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
So that's nice. But our next release is probably going to be a Pinot barrel aged, a moored Pinot barrel aged. So it'll be our first release of new make that we've distilled through the still here in Sandyford Street, and it'll be our first release with the moored Pinot barrels. So that's our next. Because
it's not your first
that's
Pinot.
Our next bottle.
You have done a Pinot.
We have done a Pinot release before. It was a Tasmanian Pinot barrel. So the cut down 100 litre size barrels from Tasmanian Pinot, and that was a pretty nice whiskey, to be honest. I think possibly the best or second best whiskey that we've actually put in bottle so far, in my opinion, was that one. And these Otago Pinot barrels are really turning out a nice drop. So really looking forward to how those are received, and they'll be our next bottling.
Any idea when?
Not too long, because we're running out of the Iberia double wood, so we need something to replace that once it's gone. So that's not so many bottles of that, only 100 or so of those left. So once they're gone, we need something else to put in the lineup, and it'll be the Pinot.
So get your Iberian double wood while you can.
While you can.
Get your brandy soaked spice Christmas fruitcake while you can.
What a note.
And Cameron, I'll expect those tasting notes to come through
tonight. By 6 o'clock. Come on, get on it.
Oh, hey, look, I can work under these conditions. I can definitely work under pressure. Oh, thanks for having us back, Antony. One, to get the call back to come back. Clearly, your first experience on the podcast wasn't too.
I enjoyed it. It was good fun.
Good. But thank you very much for having us back and for helping us be part of this exclusive society release of Divergence's first ever peated whiskey.
You're very welcome. Thanks for.
While everyone listens, you should be able to go right now and get it. So
go
get it.
If you're not a member, become a member. Head to the Divergence website, sign on up, and you'll be sent the link to get one or both.
Or one or both. Might as well. Why not? Make the decision now.
Make the decision now of these peated releases.
So the special society one and the same new make in the bourbon barrel. So you can compare and contrast yourselves.
Just like we've done.
Yeah.
Have fun.
All right. Well, thanks, Antony.
Cool. Cheers. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you again to Antony for having us back at the distillery. He did invite us back for this, and it was really cool to be able to try some unreleased whiskies. Like we said in the video, there's some flies flying around the distillery here. Sorry, and if you want to get your hands on one of these bottles, I really recommend you do. This is a really unique New Zealand whiskey. This is the sort of stuff that really pushes the boundaries of what our category is for a nation of whiskey. If you have any questions for us or for Antony, please reach out on all our socials or at Distil-Nation NZ. You can email us at distillnationnz@gmail.com. You can visit our website, distillnation.nz. And if you have any questions or if there's any topics you want us to cover, if there's anyone you want us to talk to, if you're a distiller and you want to come on the podcast, just let us know. This is something we offer for free, just to try and promote New Zealand spirits in general. So thank you for listening, for watching, and have a good one, guys.